and welcome to my guide to the Retribution Paladin. Hope you're all doing well. This is hot off the press basically. I created my first video on the Frost Death Knight and mentioned that I'd been an aficionado of the Retribution Paladin for many years. In fact, it was the first class I chose to play in World of Warcraft, and I've stuck with it for many years. Many different Retribution Paladins along the way. This is my current level 100 Retribution Paladin. As you can see, another female avatar. Make no apologies for that. And she's displaying some pretty nice transmog gear that she's picked up from some of the legacy raids. The weapon at the back, I was very fortunate two-handed drop from Dragon Soul, which is very difficult to get past because of Deathwing's back. But it is possible. I've done it, although highly annoying. Have a look at this. We are now on the Alliance side, so my Death Knight was on the Horde side. This is the Garrison level 3 tier Garrison that you eventually get on the Alliance side. A really impressive thing. Again, I have to apologise for frame rate issues here. I'm really maxing out my little computer. It's got a decent mid-range graphics card, but its processor really doesn't like this. I'm having to cope with WoW and recording at the same time. So I hope you can put up with the frame rate issues, and hopefully the audio will come out quite well. Look at that. Now that's an example of a building under construction. One of the great things, this is my inn being constructed to a level 3 inn actually, and I'll give you a little guided tour. You've got the fountain, very reminiscent of Stormwind. You've got stables here. So I mean, many of the buildings and things you choose where you put them, which ones you put on the plot. I put the stables here because that allows you to collect mounts and Draenor, just something to do with a vendor, and you've got your flight path. I suggest anybody who gets either on the Horde or the Alliance side, when you get your garrison, to replace the barracks with a war mill or similar, a building that allows you to have better drops of gear. It'll upgrade it, and you'll see that in the list of buildings. So as soon as you're able to do that, I would urge you to do that, because as you're leveling up from level 90 to 100, that's really useful, and you get some really nice upgraded items that help you along the way. Down here I've got my, look at the cursor, that's the blacksmiths. I have my banking utility and everything. And here, this is a good one. You'll get that at a particular quest line. It's a scrapyard. So when you complete your missions with your followers, they sometimes get you some scrap, and you can go there and try your luck with what they've found. And then here, I can't quite remember, but this is a trading post. That's what I put there, yeah, trading post. So yeah, all very good stuff. So that's my little tour, and another reason to get Warlords of Draenor, as I pointed out in the Frost Death Knight guide. So I'll try and keep this one a little bit shorter than the other one. I can't guarantee it, there's quite a lot to cover. This is the main hall. Give me a quick look at that. Look at it, this is amazing. You get your own town hall. Look at this. When you get to level 3, it's very impressive. Look. Knights of the Round Table, anybody? Yeah, there you go, you got it all going. So all of this to look forward to when you're level 100, and you get the resources, do your dailies, get the legendary quest going, all that kind of stuff, and this will come eventually as well. So, let's talk about the Retribution Paladin, the tour de force. Paladins are a great class for beginners now. They never used to be. That would not have been something I would have said in the Cataclysm expansion. They come a long way. They've been simplified slightly, and I'm going to tell you how I approach playing the Retribution Paladin. Like I've said, I've been playing it for many years, and I have my own play style, which some of you may find useful. I started to describe that with the Death Knight, some of you might know I'm a more adept player. I keybind much more than you do. But I'll do what I did with the Death Knight, so we will go through the talents, the glyphs that I use, and then the key bindings to summarize, and also hopefully help people who aren't so accustomed to World of Warcraft. So, especially console players, you know, I tend to be a very big console player, and if you look at any of the controllers for the new gen, so that's the PlayStation 4 controller, the Xbox One, I'm not very familiar with the Xbox One controller, but the PlayStation 4 controller has, you have your 4 major buttons with 4 shoulder buttons, that's 8, and then the D-pad, the touchpad, is also a button, that's 9, with some optional buttons that you don't tend to use all the time. So when you're playing, normally in a normal setup of a game, you're using between 8 to 9 buttons. So the way that I keybind is 10 keybinds. You know, it's a manageable number, and it's not a coincidence that there's only 8 or 9 buttons on a controller, because that's kind of easy territory for most people. Right, so let's get on with this. Let's bring up the talent screen, and you will see immediately the ones that I have chosen. So early on at level 15, you get actually very useful for paladins. You get that movement talent that I described last time. Most character classes now have some movement enhancing talent, and the one that I chose was Pursuit of Justice, because that, first of all, I always point this out, if it's a passive ability and it has great utility, then you want to choose that over a keybind any day of the week. Pursuit of Justice is just that. It increases your movement speed by 15%, flat rate, and Holy Power, which is what paladins generate all the time. For every additional charge of Holy Power, you get 5%, so you can increase that speed up to about 30%, which matches the Death Knight's movement. There are 2 here that you could choose. Speed of Light, I did use that for a while. It's a short burst of 8 seconds, and it is quite useful. It would be useful in raid situations where you want to get out of stuff. But unlike the Death Knight's movement ability, which is, I remember at the moment, with the speed burst that it has, it doesn't ignore movement impairing effects. So Speed of Light may not be as useful as you think it is, because if there are movement impairing effects and you hit that button, nothing's going to happen. You're going to be bogged down. So Pursuit of Justice, I would suggest at level 15. Right, to level 30, Blinding Light. Now, why have I put Blinding Light? There's Repentance here and Fist of Justice. Repentance, I actually used that in one particular situation, which was in Mists of Pandaria, the last boss fight on the legendary chain to get the cloak. This is on a different paladin, was against the Black Prince, and Repentance was the only way that I could defeat him. I kept repenting him, which put him under a minute, and then striking when Repentance had recharged. I'd strike him for 1, 2 or 3 strikes, and then hit Repentance again. So it was a very long fight, but this way he couldn't spawn adds, and I got through the fight, so it was a bit of a cheat. But Repentance could be useful in a similar situation like that, where you're soloing and you've come across a boss and it's just a nightmare. By putting them to sleep for a minute, it means you can recharge your abilities, you can heal whatever, and then strike them again, and make sure Repentance is back up and running, because it's got a 15-second cooldown, so after that minute you will have Repentance available again. However, Blinding Light is a great little ability, especially for mobs, when you're in raids and things, because you can hit that and it will blind them, and it causes them to go wander around. It just helps the group attack mobs. I don't know what its effect on aggro for a tank is. I doubt it does anything really, other than just stun the ads. So that's a great one to have. Okay. Level 45, I've gone for Selfless Healer because it's passive, and if you read it, your successful judgments reduce the cast time and mana cost of your next Flash of Light and increase its effects on others by 20%. So, Flash of Light being one of your main healing spells, anything that's going to reduce the cost of that is great, and the cast time, of course. So, that's a good solid one to choose at 45. Right, jumping on to level 60. Well, you've got some choices here. If you're adept at using hand abilities in groups, Clemency might be one to choose. It's passive again. But I've gone for Unbreakable Spirit, which reduces the cooldown of your Divine Shield, Divine Protection lay on hands, as I tend to use Divine Shield quite a lot. So that's covered here. Divine Shield being the meaty protection spell that a paladin can hit when all sorts of rubbish is going down. Very useful, very useful. Reduces a lot of damage and things. Actually reduces it by 50%, so it really does make a difference. So Unbreakable Spirit really works well with that. On to level 75. You've got quite a few here. I went for Holy Avenger, which is instant. It generates holy power, which will deal 30% additional damage and healing and generate free charge of holy power. So it's useful at regenerating your holy power. I don't think. Well, there are two here to choose. You could. Avenging Wrath lasts 50% longer and grants more frequent access. In fact, that one's a very good one. I've got that on a different paladin. So, perhaps Sanctified Wrath would be better for somebody who's not so experienced with Adept, because it's a passive ability. And Avenging Wrath is one of your really big abilities as a paladin. It's your turbo boost. So yes, that is a very good one to have. Sanctified Wrath might be a good one. You could have a look at Divine Purpose, depending on what you're trying to do. When you're at level 90, you've got 3 here. There's Light's Hammer and there's Execution Sentence. Holy Prism doesn't tend to be used. Some people are starting to use that. They're all very effective and they're all pretty level pegging. A Light's Hammer is a good one for if you're helping out the group or the raid. If you're not so interested in doing more damage to a single boss, because you're going to be bringing a lot of things to the table, Light's Hammer can be very useful. As you see, it's a 10-yard radius, and it blasts holy damage to any enemies in that, but also heals your fellow party members and raid members, including yourself, in that radius. So that's a pretty good one. However, I chose Execution Sentence. It's very spectacular, and it just adds a lot of damage to the main bosses and things. So it's quite a spectacular spell. When you get to level 100, there's only really one choice, and that is Final Verdict. It replaces Templar's Verdict, and it's so great. Final Verdict is much more powerful than Templar's Verdict, and it also, your main AoE ability, which is Divine Storm, increases damage of that and radius of your next Divine Storm by 100%. So it's a very useful talent to have. So those are the talents I chose, and they work very well for me. Glyphs. Let's get on to the glyphs. Right, the glyphs I have up are the major ones. Here we go. Glyph of Templar's Verdict. I think we should be taking that because you take 10% less damage for 6 seconds after dealing damage with Templar's Verdict or Exorcism. So, you know, Exorcism is down here. You'll see on my key bindings that is Templar's Verdict gone. Find it. Right, okay. Okay, well, just for the fact that, you know, Exorcism, you use that a lot, you'll be swinging with that. So it's reducing the damage gain, making them more survivable, and that's one of the great things that Retribution Paladins are capable of doing, surviving things that other characters just can't for prolonged periods in terms of DPS characters. So that's my first major choice. Second one, I put Glyph of Flash of Light because I use Flash of Light a lot. So what it does is when you use your Flash of Light on a target, which is usually yourself, it increases your next heal done to that target within 7 seconds. So it increases the next Flash of Light, whatever you're going to use, makes it more effective. And then we have Glyph of Double Jeopardy, which is when you judge, which is, you'll be doing that a lot. Increases the damage of your next judgment by 20%, but only from a different second target. Well, you'll be using that a lot on mobs anyway, because you'll be using judgment over and over again on different targets, so it's very useful. Minor glyphs, well, let's see what we've got up here. We've got the Glyph of Winged Vengeance, which is cosmetic. It just makes your Avenging Wrath look more spectacular. And another cosmetic one for the Charger, which is the mount that you will get as a Paladin. There's a few here that you could look at. Many of them, I have to say, that one could be potentially quite useful. Falling Avenger, a bit like the Death Knight's minor glyph that allows them to fall. That one might be one you might want to consider, but the other, a lot of them are cosmetic or not particularly useful, okay? So the minor glyphs, yeah, I mean, you know, have a play around with that. So that's all of the talents and glyphs dealt with, and now let's go to the key bindings, and I think what I'll do again is I'll bring up the keyboard and describe what I'm doing. So we have the forward movement key, the movement keys, the main movement keys on your left hand, which are W, A, S, and D. Okay, and then right next to that, what I use are Tab, Q, next to W, yeah, Tab, Q, W is the forward key, E and R. So you've got 4 keys next to W. Those are all your main striking attacks. Okay, and then next to D, F, which is your AoE, your area of effect attack, and then the keys 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so you've got 10 binded within easy reach, very easy to kind of remember as you get going. So on the mouse, which I described only in text last time, I use a standard gaming mouse, and I have 3 buttons on that. I have 2 side buttons and the middle mouse button key, and all I do with that is on the lower of the 2 side buttons I have auto run connected to one button, so I can just click auto run on and off, and my mount on the other one so I can summon it without having to click. And the middle mouse button, very important, I put next target, so you'll find that I'll show you on your key bindings. Let's bring up the key bindings, bring up your main action bar. There you go. Mouse button 5 is for the mount, and I'm going to try and find it for you. Targeting, there we go. Should be the middle mouse button. There you are. Target nearest enemy. That's the one you want on the middle mouse button. So you click that, and it will target the enemy that you're looking at. Very useful. And if, by the way, if you keep clicking it after that, it'll rotate over the other possible targets. So that's that. Now let's get back to the keyboard. So on Q, as you can see down here, we've got the good old Crusader strike. That's your main strike. We've got Judgment. Now Judgment you should be using from a distance. You can use it from a big distance. You'll be using that. So I'll show you some rotation tools that I use. But what you've got to bear in mind is when you're coming towards a target, judge it. You're a distance away. Judge it. You hit Judgment, because you can hit that from a mile away, right? Okay, even before you get close. So that's Q and E, and then on R, what was Templar's Verdict, it will be Templar's Verdict. Put Templar's Verdict on, and then when you get to level 100, become Final Verdict. Yeah. So you've got the recap, Judgment, Crusader Strike, Judgment, and Final Verdict, or Templar's Verdict on Q, W, and R. Tab is for Avenging Wrath, because you'll be using that whenever you can, so that's your turbo boost button, makes everything more powerful, easy reach. Next to D, your AoE is your Divine Storm, put that on there, very easy to reach. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Well, 1, we've got Hammer of Justice. Hammer of Justice is your stunning ability, and you should use that whenever you can. When you're getting close, right, hit that. Try and stun your targets. So that's your kind of almost like an interrupt. You have an interrupt, which I'll come to, which is Rebuke, which is on 3. but you'll be using Hammer of Justice more, I should think. 2, I've put Exorcism up there because it's easy to reach and to remember. You'll be using Exorcism an awful lot, so putting that on 2 is an easy reach and an easy one to remember. You might want to put it on 3, but either 2 or 3, so it's just above the W. Rebuke on 3, that's your main interrupt spell. Interrupt spell casting prevents any spell in that skill from being cast for 4 seconds. Not that easy to use. Some bosses actually ignore that. Sometimes it just doesn't work. But, you know, for many, for the ads, especially, it will work. But don't count on it working on any of the major bosses, because most of them are immune to something like Rebuke. You'll have to rely on your ranged melee, the magic users, and maybe your healers for the major interrupts there. Right, so the 4, we've got your Hammer of Wrath, which we'll be using when you can. Again, like Exorcism, you need that within easy reach, and 4 is a good key for that. 5, I've got Flash of Light, because it's a good emergency button if you're in trouble, okay? So 5 would be for your Flash of Light, which is your speedy heal spell with a 1.41 cast time. Right, so those are all the key bindings that I choose, and then now if we look at the key binding, the spells that I don't keybind, and I know I pointed out this before, it could be quite controversial for some, but I just don't see the need for that, because as I pointed out with the Death Knight, most of these are either things that you're going to be buffing, or you use occasionally, or saving for the big boss. And you can put them anywhere up here. So let's have a look at the spells we've got here. We've got Emancipate, which is a good one. Emancipate, you can, if you're stuck in something, that'll free you up. And actually, a little hint here, Emancipate works to free you from things that knock you down. If you hit Divine Shield, that also frees you. You'll see that actually highlighted when you're stuck and nothing else is happening. Divine Shield will be there, because when you hit Divine Shield, it'll free you from that. It's something that's not actually stated, but it works. So Emancipate's a good one. We've got Every Man for Himself, which is a racial. You won't have that unless you're human, but I've put it next to Emancipate because it basically does the same thing. Your big Lay on Hands heal spell, but it has a 5-minute cooldown, so you can't rely on it all the time, so it's up there, but that'll heal all of your health if you're in trouble. So, like I was describing the Paladin, you've got 2 really good healing spells. You've got Flash of Light, which is there all the time, and Lay on Hands, which is there every 5 minutes. Cleanse is a good one to have up there, because Cleanse gets rid of diseases and poisons. Very useful, keeps you alive again. Divine Protection, I don't tend to use it because it's only reducing magical damage like 40%, but like, if Divine Shield isn't available for some reason, and you are getting a lot of damage, and some of that could be down to magical damage, it's worth having a pop at that. There's my Blinding Light that I can use when I'm in a mob situation. Blessings of Might, you'll only be popping that, once in a raid to... That's the one you should be using as a Rep Paladin by default. There are other ones to choose, but that's the one because it affects Holy Power. So that's the one you want for default. If there's more than one Rep Paladin and you're in communication in a big group, you can split them. Somebody could put like Blessings of Kings, and somebody could put Blessings of Might. Blessings of Kings tends to help spellcasters and things more. And then you've got lay your hands, which, I've only started become accustomed. This Hand of Protection is very useful for tanks. So if you've got one tank, or one tank who's going to do the main tanking, you can put Hand of Protection. It is a 5-minute cooldown, hence why it's up here. But that's something to bear in mind. Your hands there, because they can come in handy for particular raid members of groups. Now, sitting next side by side, I've got my Holy Avenger, which in a similar vein to your Avenging Wrath kind of boosts you, and that's next to Execution Sentence. So those two go quite well. One's got a 2-minute cooldown, okay, but they kind of can go together in a pair. You could macro those, I suppose, but up there, for when you want, for the big bosses, big encounters, smack those. So, you know, all within easy reach. You've got your Redemption, which is your resurrection spell. Unfortunately, no combat rares like the Death Knights, but useful anyway, in small parties and things. And then I've got a whole slew of things here that won't mean so much to you. You've got your Word of Glory here, which is another healing spell, but that consumes holy power, so I tend to negate that. Then you've got your seals, and seals are supposed to be for different situations. Really, your main default as a Ret Pally is Seal of Truth. That's the one you're always going to be using. And Seal of Righteousness is the one that you're supposed to click over when you're in a mob or something. Well, if you remember, hit it. In practice, you probably won't be. But I suppose it would be good practice to get used to it. But it's just such a faff to be clicking left and right. And really, I mean, okay, it causes holy damage, some extra holy damage. But, you know, you've got your AoE spells here. You've got your Blinding Light. And, you know, many other characters will bring in lots of other things to the table anyway. So, yeah, I mean, if you want to be perfectionist about it, then seal swap. But especially if you're starting out, don't overclog yourself with enough, you know, with all the information that you have to get your head around. And just starting to use seals would be a good advance. Yeah. So if you can. Even one, if you just like make a mental note, oh, I've got that hand of protection, I better put that on the tank. You know, that would be a good way to start getting your head around how to play this. So that's all the major keys done there. There's not really much else to mention other than now to tell you about the add-ons that I use. So as you can see, I use CLC Ret, which is one that you should have because the rotation is quite complicated on a Ret Paladin, and that just simplifies it, makes it so easy. And you'll see that the actual add-on on the screen there when I'm pointing with the cursor, and Bitten Spell Flash, which I suggested the Death Knight, you should get that. That's pretty useful. So this little doobie here will help me with your your rotation. It becomes very instinctive. You don't have to follow it all the time. Like I said, Judgment, using your Judgment when you're attacking a target from far. So, really, let's kind of recap how I would approach it. If you target something, you've chosen your target, you're going to judge it, and then you go in, your rotation's going to start, and depending on the size of the target, what it is, if it's a boss, you're going to hit your Holy Avenger, your Execution Sentence. Don't really need to worry about any of the healing spells. You might consider Divine Shield some way through the fight just to, you know, slow down the damage you're taking. If there's a mob, if you're going into a mob, you want Blinding Light or similar. Divine Storm will come into your rotation anyway when it's suitable, so that's fine. And, you know, that's really how the Rets look. Very easy, you want to get in, don't be afraid to get in there with the tanks, obviously not side by side with the tanks, you only get a main hit, but you know, either to the side of the target, preferably around behind the target, and you'll be fine, remembering that you've got your Divine Shield, you've got your healing spells and your cleanse to get you out of all sorts of mischief. So that is the Ret Paladin. I hope you found this really enjoyable, and I will leave you with a mount. Why not? Let's bring up the mount that I managed to get in Cataclysm as a drop, a random drop, believe it or not. And these things are quite rare. It's my flaming hippogriff. Can't make it fly in Draenor, unfortunately. I can make her roar. I hope you found this very useful. Have a great day.